The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Huddle Up. You're here with the world famous Get Fresh crew, Guy Newcomb, Darren Archer, and yourself, Johnny Mack, also known as J Mac, the man, the jack of all trades, and Guy Newcomb, scoreboard guy, and my man, the world famous DA. I'm not going to tell you what the D and A really stands for. We'll just leave it at that. Hey, sorry we missed you last week. We had some technical difficulties. This week, we're going to have to do our show. We're doing it right now, gentlemen, on a Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you out there in the land of music and entertainment, we're doing it, sports and entertainment. We're doing it on Wednesday. Forgive us for not having some updates on Albert Pujols. But we're going to start off right now with Guy and DA. Tell me how the week's been, gentlemen. I know you want to talk about some things. Guy, I know you called me and texted me, and you were excited about the Bears. And DA, I know you were crying because of Cubs. No, you were happy, actually, because they swept the Mets. I believe it was. And so we got a lot to talk about, gentlemen. Let's just jump right into it. Glad you're here with us. The St. Louis Cardinals, hey, I'm a little nervous right now. The bats have been silent. Pujols has been a little bit silent. I'm a little scared if we start the playoffs today, we'd be going into it on a down slope. Hopefully we can get it started again. Guys, tell me what you think about the Cardinals' chances. And once again, we got to talk about Pujols going for 700. I said he wouldn't hit it. I'm stubborn. I'm going to stick with it. He filters out at 699. DA, where are you at with that?
He's going to get it. Mark it down right here and now. Mark it down. Done deal. I like their chances also. I mean, they're in, and if playoffs started today, they'd be the number 3 seed playing Philadelphia Phillies, I believe. That's as of today on Thursday. But I don't see the Milwaukee Brewers catching them as far as the divisional race is concerned. They lock up the 3 spot. As far as McGuire, I'm jumping back to my old days. Pujols. As far as Pujols is concerned, I think he's going to get a lot more at bats down the stretch, especially when they clinch. It'll be time to focus on him and get him those at bats, and I think he gets it.
Yeah, I think going into this recording, I think the magic number is 7, and they still got to play. They still played Pittsburgh 6 times. I think he may end up. They're not going to be back home for a few days, but he may end up hitting it out in L.A. I mean, he lives out in L.A. He's got a lot of friends out there in L.A. Played for the Dodgers, played for the Angels. I think that's where he gets it. Maybe is at L.A. But I think with regards to them slumping, I mean, their bats right now. I mean, Arenado and Goldschmidt, they were on a tear. You couldn't expect them to keep that up. But you go back to the trade deadline, you go back to the second half. Cardinals have the second best record in baseball, and that's to the Dodgers. They got the second best record in baseball. So this little slump, they're just kind of evening out. I mean, baseball's ups and downs and things like that. And I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be okay.
Well, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal, gentlemen. I don't know. Maybe there's a peak period also. So if you're looking at sports, everyone has a peak, and if you peak too soon, as we all know, then you're going to have problems kind of getting back up there when the playoffs start. And I just got a feeling that the Cardinals hit a stretch where they were peaking. And I'm not sure if they can get that and turn. It's not a key where you can just turn it off and on. I don't really know if they're going to be able to do that. So what are your thoughts? Do you think they peaked a little early? Or do you think, this is kind of baseball and it has its ebbs and flows and they could turn it on maybe when the postseason starts? I don't know. I don't know, DA. What are your thoughts?
I think it's just ebbs and flows. And to be honest, getting to the postseason is 90% of the task, and the other 10% is hope you get hot, hope your pitchers are throwing great games, and hope your batters get hot at the right time. You take a look back to 2 or 3 years ago when the Washington Nationals won the World Series. They got hot. I mean, they just got hot. I don't think it really had to do anything with them peaking. They had a good pitching staff, which they knew they could get to the playoffs, but their bats got hot. And I think that, you're right. Every team You want to peak at the right time. But I think there's a lot of ebb and flow that go with baseball, and just getting hot, getting your bats hot, and pitchers being on point, and just things kind of roll together. Guy, what do you think?
Well, I think right now you got to clinch, and then you got to get Wainwright and Michaelis and Montgomery some rest. Because you talk about peaking. I mean, Cardinals won 17 in a row last year to end the season, and then go in and blow it. So it ain't nothing to do with peaking. It's getting guys rest. Your at bats are going to come around. But as far as that, as far as peaking, they peaked at the exact right time last year, and then blew it because they couldn't afford to get guys rest. I think they got to get those guys on the mound some rest. You get the September call ups. You've got arms you can throw. Wainwright talked 2 weeks ago about having a tired arm. Well, he's 41 years old and he's not Tom Brady. Um, he needs a break. He needs to get that back, and I think that's going to happen as soon as they clinch. They're going to start saving some guys some innings.
All right. I think the number, I'm not sure. I looked, I think it might be 6. But with all that being said, Guy, you and I had a conversation, and you really think that Aaron Judge chasing the home run American League record is iconic. I completely disagree with you. I'd rather go watch a Star Wars episode or something. I'd rather go watch Dancing in the Streets or so. Hey, you know what? I had the time of my life. I love that movie. I'm not really interested in Aaron Judge's quest to be this home run champion. I just don't see it. But Guy, for some reason you think it's iconic. But let me first say this: nobody puts Baby in the corner. But what do you think though, Guy? Why do you think that's so iconic?
Well, you go back 157 years of professional baseball. There's been 3 guys hit 60 that were clean. Plus, he's doing it in the American League. He's doing it in Yankee Stadium. It's 61 years to the date, I believe, that Roger Maris hit number 61. And at that time, nobody, even in New York, wanted him to break it. I mean, Mickey Mantle was the blonde-haired kid. Everybody wanted Mantle to break it. Maris died in 1985. Was still that asterisk beside his number or beside the record. And I know you've had the Bonds and McGuire, Sosa, go on and hit more than 60. But they're number one. They're all in the National League. And what Judge is doing in this time and day of baseball with the shifts, with every pitcher throwing 95, 98 miles an hour or better, and doing it in New York where the pressure from the media is unbelievable. I just think and of course, he's had some injuries in his background. He played 154 games one time. This year he hit 60 in 147 in game 147. So they're not going to put an asterisk beside it. I just think it's unbelievable what he's done in this day and time, and he's done it clean. And I know everybody else has broken the record, but I think it's absolutely amazing what he has done.
DA, if you agree with him, I'm gonna turn this whole thing upside down. Look, I hear you. We think Judge is clean. I know for a fact. I saw you when you bought him. You got on Yankee underwear. That's okay. I'm not mad at you, guy. I'm just simply saying you're a Yankee homer. I get it. DA, I know how you might feel about it. I know you. Why don't you touch on that? And while you're doing that, also the Royals had some interesting moves they made today, DA. But what are your thoughts about Judge and what the Royals had to do today?
Yeah, first of all, with Judge, I tend to somewhat agree just to keep the peace. How's that, Johnny? Will that work?
All right.
Okay. I somewhat tend to agree, just from the simple fact that 60 is kind of a magic number for home runs in a season. Does it break any records? No. Is it Sosa McGuire? Back in the day when we were enjoying baseball and when baseball really, really needed something of that magnitude to help, bring the fans back in it. No, but at the same time, I still think it's good for baseball. There's pennant races going on right now, divisional races going on. There's also, pool holes. You got Judge. There are stories to follow outside of just young players who are the future of baseball being brought up and how do they fare, in this showtime, so to speak, for the young players that are on the teams that are out of the race. So I think it's good. I really do. To the other question that you asked about the Kansas City Royals, the Royals fired Dayton Moore this afternoon, let him go. After 16 years, I believe, he was with the Royals. He was general manager and then was recently promoted as the president of operations. And I think that may be some foreshadowing of other heads to roll, so to speak. I've got to think that their pitching coach, Eldred, has got to be feeling some heat right now. And of course, Mike Matheny. Very seldom do you fire a president or general manager and not get rid of your coach?
I
Well,
agree. I think that's all really important. I think it might be a domino effect. What do you got, guy?
well, I mean, Dayton Moore's, he came in, had the one great year. I mean, they went to back-to-back World Series, but in 2017 when they had to ship off all those guys, Mustakas and those guys left and went somewhere else, they have not been able to develop pitchers. And I think that's the reason that he is gone. Plus, you got a new owner. I mean, this guy spent, $200 million on this team. You've got a new owner there. Patrick Mahomes is an owner. And Dayton Moore, it was kind of like the Macarena. I don't know who wrote that dang song. I don't care, but everybody can sing it. Everybody knows every word of it. And it'll be played at weddings for 200 years. He was a one-hit wonder. Got one World Series and hasn't done anything since. And I think the Piccolo, who's taken over, as the interim, so to speak, GM, I think he's going to make his own moves too, just like the owner did. Yeah, so I think they're all gone. I don't think anybody survives it come October 15th. They're looking for a new manager and a new pitching coach, and they just have not been able to develop pitchers. And Brady Singer's done okay, and if he's on the mound, they got a chance. Greinke's a Hall of Famer, but he's suffered. But he's a one-hit wonder. He got lucky.
I don't know about calling that. They went to 2 World Series, won one. They put together a lot of young talent. But I do understand what you're saying. I do think some heads are going to roll. There's going to be some people losing jobs, looking for employment elsewhere at the end of the year, gentlemen. And we're going to end this segment by this. I want to tell you one thing. First of all, my reference earlier was to Dirty Dancing. No one puts baby in the corner. And there's really only one number that really means something. That's 50. You know what? Because if my man Luke say he can eat 50 eggs, then he can eat 50 eggs. That's the number you need to know. Cool hand Luke. Hey, thank you for listening to this segment. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about some Chiefs, the Missouri Tigers, and the MSU Bears, who put on a quite impressive show last Saturday down in Fayetteville and almost pulled the upset of the year. We want to talk about it and see what your thoughts are in comments. We'll be right back on Huddle Up. Thank you.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. And find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Only Pizza Ranch serves buffet your way.
Don't you mean my way, Mr. Voiceover Guy?
Sure, anyone's way, actually. Request your favorite pizza. We'll make it, bake it, and give you the first slice.
I can add peppers to pepperoni, Stampede on stuffed crust, maybe Texan taco on thin. No tomatoes on my half. How can I convince Mom to let us eat here every night?
It's buffet your way at Pizza Ranch. Say it with me, kid.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Huddle Up. First, I want to let you know that I am fresh in my new Huddle Up attire. We will be putting, my new Missouri Sports Network attire. We will be putting this out for sale. This is dope. This is nice. Not this. This is all beautiful. But this right here is really where it's at. I got my hat game. DA, let me see. You got your hat game. What you working with tonight, brother?
Just going neutral, baby. Just going neutral.
I love it. I love it. Guy, we got to get you to do something that most people do. You got to step it up. Okay, my friend, you got to step the hat game up. Anybody, please send donations to Guy Newcomb, Scoreboard Guy. Google him. You'll find out all his information. He needs a new hat. But, gentlemen, on this segment, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. I almost had to eat some crow. But here's the deal. Let's talk about the Missouri State Bears. they did almost something that would have been improbable to think about 3 years ago. They went into Arkansas, they went into Fayetteville and gave Arkansas every bit of everything they wanted. Now, all of us being competitors, we understand after about a quarter or two, not even two, you kind of realize I'm going to be in for a long ride today. Or, hey, man, we can play with these guys. And I think Missouri State got that confidence rolling that they could play with the Razorbacks, and they went down there and put on a show. They lose to the Razorbacks 38-27. Arkansas got a late TD, so it's actually 31 right up 27, but it was 38-27. Jason Shelley is a stud. He put on a performance that left a lot of Power Five conferences, schools going, I wish we had him. He did his thing. Guy, you couldn't wait for the Missouri State upset and have me just eating all the crow with a big shovel and a little spoon. Guy, what were your thoughts about the Bears? And tell me about Shelley and how you think Petrino fared going back into his old stomping grounds.
Well, I tell you, when you got the best coach and the best quarterback on the field, you're going to have a chance. And Shelley was sacked 8 times and knocked down 12. I mean, he may start feeling a little bit of that battered quarterback syndrome if they don't start protecting him. He's not going to be able to go a whole season like this. But his athletic ability and the play calling, and I don't remember who I told. I may have said this on the air last week. But if they win the toss or if they end up with the football, they're going to go down and score. And they did. They went down and scored. Then they kick a field goal. And you take away, they had 4 plays. Arkansas had 4 plays in the fourth quarter that led to 21 points. They get the punt return and then the 2 big touchdowns on 4 plays. And that's a matter of they got 22 extra scholarships. That's like having 11 more guys on offense and 11 more guys on defense. You're just going to wear them down. And that's what happened. They got worn down, and they blew some assignments. And typically, when you get physically tired, you get mentally tired, and you make a mistake. And that's what happened on the punt return. And now there was three penalties on that play, but that could have came back, and that may have been the difference in the game there. They just kind of broke their backs. But I was thoroughly impressed. I did not think that Arkansas was going to be 23 points better than Missouri State. And I went on record with that. And I thought, 10 and a half minutes to go in the fourth quarter, there's no way they're going to beat them by 23. They're down 10. So, but I was impressed, and I can't wait for Saturday with South Dakota State.
DA, guys saying a lot of things. I don't remember him putting anything on record about them not being 23 points. Saying they're going to get a coin flip and go down and score. But whatever dreams you may have had, yeah, you might have said them then, but you didn't say them on this show, so there's not a record of it. But I will leave it for DA to kind of clean up where you left off. DA, you got extra scholarships and you got a lot of people that redshirted. They just lost the game. You can sit here and make excuses about them being tired and worn down, DA. They lost the game. You show up and show out in the fourth quarter. I didn't give them that. They didn't execute down the stretch. I'm not going to say they were tired. They just lost. DA, what are your thoughts?
I tend to agree with you. And by the way, I can eat 50 eggs. Just going to put that out there for everybody. No, getting back to topic at hand, I was thoroughly impressed, and I think they gained when I say they, the Missouri State Bears gained a lot of confidence on that opening drive, and I think the Bears are going to go as that offense goes. The defense has some deficiencies, but they're capable. They have some good pieces in place, but I think that whole engine is going to be determined on how the offense is going, and it obviously is led by Jason Shelley, but there's a lot of good supporting cast that he has, and they've got good balance. in their offensive attack. They really do. I've been impressed, and I think that's what kind of surprised Arkansas a little bit was the balance that they do have, and then just Shelley's ability to scramble and make plays out of nothing. And he did get hit a lot. You hope, they've got another big one coming up this weekend. In all reality, in the whole scheme of things, bigger than last weekend's. Hey, they went, they represented, they did a great job. They had everybody in the football world had their eyes on that game while they're watching top 5 matchups elsewhere. People are looking at that scoreboard, but this week there's 2 top 5 teams that are going to battle out at Missouri State with South Dakota State, and it's going to be a very important test right out of the gate again.
It's going to be a very important test. If
they win this game, they'll be favored the rest of the year. There's not a game they'll play after this game where they won't be favored. And I think win or lose, because North Dakota State's not on their schedule, and so they're gonna be favored in every game after this game, and they're probably favored in this one. Another thing you got to realize, you got an All-American tight end who hadn't played a snap yet in Stetson Moore, and now I don't know what his status is right now as far as being available for this week, but they kept him out of that Arkansas game because they didn't want to delay that him getting back in the lineup. But he's a difference maker. He's a Travis Kelce at this level. And so I'm excited.
I am too. Come out, Bears, South Dakota State this Saturday. It should be a great atmosphere for a collegiate game here in the Ozarks. Come out and support the Bears. They got an exciting team. Just came up a little short last week. One team that didn't come up short was the Kansas City Chiefs. They went and, they played the Chargers last week at home Thursday night. Arrowhead was rocking, and Mahomes put on a decent show, if I might add. 24 of 35, 235 yards and 2 TDs. The Chiefs look like the Chiefs. Are they missing a little bit? I would say they are. I don't think they can get the quick score, but they look good, DA. And so we're not even going to talk about them missing Tyreek Hill. They got pieces to put in place that are going to make them formidable throughout the rest of the year.
I agree. And similar to what I just said, I think they are going to go as their offense goes. Their defense looked really, really good week 1. Last week, obviously, a little better opponent. How good is Justin Herbert? I mean, that guy, he's incredible. And the Chargers are going to have something to say about who wins the West and who gets to the Super Bowl. They have made themselves known and kind of set them up, themselves up as that very close number 2 to the Chiefs right now in that division. So, but yes, I was very impressed. Great win for the Chiefs. The one thing I like about the Chiefs this year is it's not a 1 or 2 man show, especially with the receiving core. Edwards-Helaire has been, I think there were a lot of question marks coming into the season on how he would perform. Can he stay healthy? He's been pretty reliable and kept that balance on offense for them. I still think they've got some issues that they're going to have to shore up on defense. It's week 2, getting ready for week 3. I think that's kind of a natural thing. Offenses are going to be a little better prepared than what defenses are right now, just because there's not a whole lot of game film out, for new coaches, new systems, what have you, offensive coordinators. And I think that will shore up a little bit as time goes on.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much Chiefs doing Chiefs things as it was Chargers doing Charger things. Mm-hmm. I mean, that 99-yard touchdown interception return to a rookie, he picks that off. He's gone. That's the difference in the game. Yeah. If they get in the end zone right there, that's just Chargers doing Charger things when it comes to Chargers versus Chiefs. And you can't tell me if you were watching that game, you weren't really concerned with the ball inside the 10-yard line, and then that interception comes. Okay, that saved their butt. But, the biggest thrill I had is the fact that the Raiders may go 0-3. And that'd be the first time in 15 years the Raiders are 0-3. Yeah. But Chiefs, they're okay. But that was more Chargers doing Charger things.
I hear you. I don't disagree with you. I know the Chiefs, you say the Raiders might go 0-3, but the Chiefs got a chance to go 3-0 as they head to Naptown to play the Colts, who had an embarrassing loss for them in Jacksonville, where Jacksonville shut them out. So we'll see what the Chiefs do as they go on the road for a noon Central start against Jacksonville and see if they can go ahead and push their record to 3-0. Gentlemen, we saved kind of the most saddest part of this segment is the Mizzou Tigers. It's disappointing. I just don't know what's going on over there in Columbia. I don't know if it's going to get fixed. I don't know how long this guy is Drinkwitz going to be around. They just didn't look good. And you would expect them, they were 5 touchdown favorites, 35-point favorites against Abilene Christian. And you could do what I would consider, they kind of squeaked out a win. But they're just inconsistent on offense. Defense is somewhat got holes in it. Guy, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on the Tigers, but gentlemen, it's not looking good in Columbia.
No, I'd rather have Frost as coach. I mean, that's how bad it is. And I don't know who lasts longer, Drinkwitz or Mike Matheny. I mean, somebody's gonna walk the plank, and Mizzou's not gonna put up with this stuff. And there's a lot of pride up there in Columbia with regards, and moving to the SEC, it's a great money move and things like that. But that your season is just going to get brutal for the rest of the way out, and you're going to get beat up. And so, I mean, we'll see. But I would not be surprised if he doesn't make it until the end of the season.
DA, give me some numbers. What is your percentage are you thinking him making it? I don't know they play it to they'll fire the man in the middle of the season, but what are your numbers? What do you think? What do you think Mizzou's going to do if they?
I think it'll really have to fall off the cliff. He's going to have to lose the locker room for them to fire him mid-season. That may be a different story at the end of the season. But dadgum, they finally put the ball in Luther Bolden's hands, and good things are happening. I mean, he went out with an injury after that punt return for a TD, and gosh, Johnny, I think he had 177 all-purpose yards. Yeah. The kid is an athlete. He's a 5-star. He was a 5-star recruit for a reason, number 13 in the nation in most scouting reports. So you've got to let your playmakers make plays, and I think got to see a little bit of that. Unleash the hounds, man. Let your athletes be athletes and go play football. And their defense has got to get a little more. They've just got to get an attitude. It's hard to tell what their purpose is out there on the field. And they'll look good for a play and look horrible the next 4 plays. Got to be consistency.
That is true, my friend. The Missouri Tigers take on the Auburn Tigers this Saturday, 11 o'clock. Auburn didn't look particularly good against Penn State. Penn State had their way with them. If Mizzou goes down there and lays an egg and Auburn really hammers them, there's going to be some interesting questions going Drinkwitz's way come early Sunday morning. Gentlemen, that has been our collegiate section here on football. We'll come right back, everyone. Stay tuned and be ready for Huddle Up. When we come back, we're going to go really fast, talk about our local sports and how the high school seasons fared last week and the game of the week this week. You're listening to Huddle Up here at the Missouri Sports Network.
I couldn't ask for a better agent, for a better company in a time like this, in a disaster where you have no idea where to start.
I learned that there's not a given in life. It takes a team. There's people that are going to watch out for us and that care.
It's been pretty stressful. Once we saw Lori and got our plan, it's a lot better now.
It was like a huge weight lifted.
Welcome back to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. We're now going to get into my favorite segment. Believe it or not, it's the local and state high school report. Hey, there were some big games last week. There's some big games coming up this week. Let's jump right into them. DA, I know you got some games that you're excited about on the schedule. What you got for me, buddy?
There are some big games coming up across the state this weekend. In 8-man football, number 2 ranked Platte Valley will take on number 4 ranked Albany in a huge 8-man matchup. In Class 1, number 1 Monroe City will take on Class 2 number 6 Centralia in not only a big game but a big rivalry. In Class 1, number 7 St. Vincent will take on Class 3 number 5 Valley Catholic. Class 2 number 2 Lafayette County will take on Class 2 number 5 Richmond. Once again, not only a big state rivalry, but a local rivalry as well. Maybe, perhaps, the biggest game of the weekend. Guy may disagree with me, but is in Class 3. Cardinal Ritter, who's ranked number 1, who looks like the odds-on favorite at this point in time of the season to win the state championship, will take on last year's Class 3 state champion and Lutheran St. Charles. And then in Class 4, West Plains, who's number 7 in Class 4, will take on number 7 in Class 5 in Camdenton in a big Ozark Conference matchup. And Class 5, number 2, and still my pick to win, odds-on favorite to win the state championship in Class 5 is number 2, Francis Howell. And they will take on Class 6, number 7, Troy Buchanan. Once again, another good matchup. And then I'll let Guy talk about the other matchup that in our area that will be a very good matchup this weekend.
Well, you got two Class 6 ranked teams in Nixon Joplin, out of the COC, and they're going to match up. They're members of the same district, so this may not be the last time they play one another. But that game is at Nixa, and if you've not been down Nixa Stadium, it is as nice as any college stadium. They have elevators, and their press facility is unbelievable, but great. They're not a bad seat in the house. If you can get down there and watch that game, it'd be great. And then, of course, we'll have everything, on Friday Night Live, starting at 9:30. And we had some great coaches on this past week, and we'll continue, and then we'll start adding coaches as the season goes on. We'll get more and more guests, and then we'll play some of the athletes of the week, segments, or just 8 or 10 minutes long. Kind of get to hear from them and about some of their performances. But I'm really looking forward to that Joplin Nixa game. That'll determine. Right now, Nixa is the 1 seed, points based in that district, and that district's got Ray Peck in it. That's a team that Nixa hadn't been able to get by. They were the defending Class 6 state champion a year ago, beat them by 3 points late. And Nixon's better this year, I think, than they were last year. But we shall see. As far as volleyball and soccer, when you talk about local teams in volleyball, you're looking at Miller. Miller's the Class 2 defending state champion. They actually had to cancel a game tonight because they couldn't find officials to do it. And that's becoming more and more of a problem. You saw last weekend where Lebanon Bolivar high school football game had to be moved to Saturday because they couldn't find officials. So you'll see a lot of that. Softball, you've got a very good Morrisville team here in Class 2. Had an athlete of the week. Girl she was 20 of 23. She hit 875 in a 6-game stretch and drove in 31 runs. And then went 6-0 on the mound with a no-hitter and 4 shutouts. And they're not playing Sisters of the Poor. They're in Capital City they're playing bigger teams, and so they're having a tremendous year. Sherwood, which is a little bit further north of us, they're a really good Class 1 team in softball. When you get to soccer, you've always got to look at Catholic or at Glendale. Jeff Rogers does a tremendous job. Just won his 1,000th career game match there at Glendale. Now, he did boys and girls for a long time. And then you've got coach at Springfield Catholic picked up his 500th win. So they're always in the cards there when it comes to postseason. But so that's just kind of a look here in the general area. A lot of your power in soccer typically comes out of the St. Louis area, because they've had it. They've had soccer for so much longer, and now they're getting a professional team there as well. So that's just kind of a look around the area, and we'll hit on a lot more of that at high school game day. Fridays at 5, and of course the Friday Night Live is is 99% football all night long, and it's fast and furious. So, like it says at the bottom, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle and don't try to feed the animals because it goes in a hurry.
Guy, you are a treasure trove, my friend, of knowledge on the local sports scene and across the state. That's what we do here at Huddle Up and the Missouri Sports Network. We give you the range. We go from St. Louis to Kansas City to down to Boot Hill to up north to here in Southwest Missouri and all across the state. Hey, gentlemen, let's close out tonight with a What You Thinking segment. We'll do 2 quick rounds and tell me some of the things you're thinking about. One thing I'm thinking about, the NFL. I had Baltimore in my elimination league, and I felt really good going into the fourth quarter that I was going to move on, advance toward that $6,000 purse. And here we are. Miami comes back and scores 21 in the fourth, end up beating the Baltimore Ravens. That hurt. That's something I was thinking about. What about you, Guy?
Well, maybe Tua Tagovailoa is better. Maybe Tua is better than Mahomes. I mean, that can't be straight, but I was surprised by that as well. I was surprised too in the NFL that Indianapolis gets shut out. Now you got to worry about the Chiefs overlooking them going in there. So these guys are terrible. You can't have that. And obviously all eyes are going to be on Pujols from here on out. That's something you got to think about. And Cardinals, whatever their magic number is on this day, on Thursday, is it 6? Is it 5? Where will that be? And I think that's a big deal. This is my favorite time of the year. I mean, right now it's cold. The last 3 days have been like 95, 97 degrees, record temperatures. And today it's going to be like 62 to 65 as the high. I love it. You're not having to mow your yard as much. You can go sweatshirts and shorts. You can still get on the golf course and nobody's there. So this is just really my favorite time of the year. Baseball playoffs, middle of high school football, and I'm good to go.
What am I thinking, Johnny? Most of our listeners may not know, but I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, and you've touched on it a couple times. I am dreading this weekend, and trust me, it doesn't matter how far past the Chiefs look past the Colts. It's a done deal. Colts may not get a first down the entire game. They're bad. Hey, the Boo Birds are out. The Wolves are out in Indianapolis, and I may walk around the rest of the week with a paper sack over my head. That's what I'm thinking.
You ought to do that anyway.
I need to, don't I?
That means take the Colts and the numbers, gentlemen, because whenever DA goes that hard, that means the opposite is going to happen. Gentlemen, on this next one, I tell you what I'm thinking. Mike Evans protect his quarterback, Tom Brady. I know Tom appreciates that. I respect it. The man lost $62,222 for protecting Tom Brady. Now, he redid his contract. Last year, one game check for Mike Evans was $715,000. I think he respects that discount. He still lost $62,000, gentlemen. I don't know how big of a friend you are, but let me tell you guys something right now. If we're walking down the street and someone starts to push you, guy, or DA, someone pushes you in the back, and if I got $62K riding on it, I'm going to politely ask the gentleman to stop. I'm going to put my hands out like a traffic guy, and I'm going to get my money come through the next day. All right. Guy, we're going to finish off your round, this second round. What are you thinking about, my friend?
Well, I tell you what, just going back to last week a little bit with the Lamar Seneca game, and Seneca kind of jumped out there, and people were saying there's no way Seneca can hang with Lamar. I mean, they've won 8 state titles in the last 10 years. They're bona fide number one coming in, and they go to Seneca and get punched in the mouth, and they lose. And it was late. 36-33 was the final, and they were able to push one across late. And I was talking with coaches at the quarterback club, and I invite all the listeners to come out to the quarterback club 11:30 on Mondays at Pizza Ranch there in the mall. And a lot of those coaches that were in were members of that Big 8 conference. And I had asked them, I said, did you see that happening? And they all said yes. They had seen Seneca on film, and they were so fast that they could hang with Lamar. They just didn't know if they could get in the end zone. But they go out and beat them. And the surprising thing, those schools are both Class 2, and they're in neighboring counties, and they're not in the same district. So if they're going to face one another again, it's going to be in the state quarterfinals. And then that winner's probably going to get Blair Oaks. And so you look ahead to just things like that, and those are things that, I'm a numbers guy, and I look at numbers, and we've had this discussion, but there's some big numbers out there to be had.
Here's what I'm thinking, Guy. If we're three of us are walking down the street, I sure hope you've got my back, because I know who doesn't. That's what I'm thinking.
I got your back, buddy. I
know you do, brother.
We got to figure out a way
to.
I got to get my money, man. I got to get my money. No, gentlemen, it's been a great segment. Appreciate it all. Hey, there's a lot going on. Go out, get out, support your local athletes, support your high school athletes, support your universities and colleges in the area. There's a lot going on. Make sure you tune in to Missouri Sports Network. Guy, tell them where they can follow you on Friday night, my friend.
Tell you what, just come to Missouri Sports Network, or go to MissouriSportsNetwork.com, or on Facebook, or Scoreboard Guy on Twitter. All the scores will be up there at Scoreboard Guy Net. Plus, I'll be running through it and be talking with coaches from around the state, maybe even mix in a media person here and there. But and it's rapid fire. When it at 9:30, you may have a couple of finals by 9:30. But from 9:30 to 11, there's probably 80 or 90 more final scores that come in, and some games may go to overtime. We may not have them go off there at 11, but most of the time we do. But and then high school game day Friday nights at 5:00 with folks from around the state. Tune in.
I love it. DA, what do you want to close on, my friend?
Hey, hope everybody has a good sports week the rest of the week. Go Chiefs, go Cards, go Pujols. I can't believe I just said go Cards. We gotta end it there. Holy cow.
Yes. Hey, thank you all for listening. It's been another episode of Huddle Up. We'll catch you again next week. Thank you for watching and listening to the Missouri Sports Network. Be safe, and everyone have a great weekend. Go Bears.